following presentation is for an audience of administrators and teachers done by me, Courtney Patrick, with my BAMA known as Courtney Stevens. The purpose of this presentation will be how I created a culturally relevant classroom, and I am titling it From Object to Subject, guiding students to read the word in order to read the world. So this is a brief audio recording of just what I wanted to make sure came across in the presentation, just the background, in addition to sending the presentation on the Blackboard platform. So I will initially open with an agenda, just so everyone has an idea of what I'm going to go through. And I'm also tying it to my school's framework, the rubric that comprises of our school's framework elements to show teachers that, a little bit of innovation and trying new things is still aligned to what our administrators want to see according to their observation rubrics. So the story that I want to tell really begins with a music video and a journey I took that inspired the class. So I knew I was going to teach seniors. I'm going to talk about how I grappled with, just the struggle of getting them to be engaged. And it will come to fruition with this song by J. Cole and how this inspired that rap can be text and how we find consciousness within the text and how it is poetry as well, which is something that students later went on to give evidence for that claim. So that's just how kind of the story begins in search for relevant text for seniors. And then that would play, we would discuss, go forward. I have a little design element here to illustrate my thought process on how this worked and how it worked in my classroom. I go over the pre-work on how this was really a 2-year process. You don't just create a classroom that is culturally relevant out of the blue. It took a lot of trial and error in the previous year and adding to curriculum instead of creating new curriculum. So I sort of go through the whole process. That's a longer piece. And then I link it to the Ladson-Billings framework, which is a text that our school has been studying. So I wanted to include that in there. And I like the just little bits of the text moving around and different highlighting, different phrases to pop out. Then I tie it again. Our school likes us to perform some SLOs, goals for student learning and objectives, and how, once again, innovation and being a little what maybe traditional would say is out there does, in fact, link to student learning and achievement, critical consciousness, and cultural competence. I add another design element of tiered approaches for teachers to understand. Everyone sort of starts at round one. And I am talking in the presentation how I progress from 1, 2 to 3 and what I'm going to do next year to get to level 4. This is the part of the presentation where I discuss a student quote, and then I would ask that student to join in the conversation. The presentation would be nearly done, but I would have a conversation with that student, and they would, by asking questions about sharing their experiences on what it's like to have a teacher really dive into their interests and their passions and make their topics of learning the core of the class, and have the students create text as well. Then I concluded with, just 2 little phrases that I really want, if they learned 2 things, this is what it would be the takeaway from the presentation. And then I add a resource and my email as well. So I used Google Slides to create this presentation. Obviously, it would be a lot longer, but in using Screencastify, which is a great tool, I don't have the unlimited. I didn't pay for that yet. So this is the free 5-minute capped version, but I just wanted to add my thought process behind this presentation that I will be using shortly.